I think I've done one video speaking to the album, as an art form. And a lot of people will say, and you'll read a lot of things about, when you're putting an album together, there are tentpole songs, there are special songs that need to be considered when you're putting together the track order for an album. Now, if you're a streamer and you're just a playlist person, this is really going to be foreign to you because back in the day, and still thankfully, albums reign supreme for me. And they are snapshots in time, and they are things that you can put on your turntable that will bring you back, you personally, in your personal history. Where were you when you first heard that album or when you bought that album? For me, I bought my first album probably in 1978. I had a paper route, and we had one record shop in town, although there were a couple department stores that sold records, but we had something called Record World. And I remember, I think it was on a Friday, I would go back to the newspaper office, and we would get paid out for the week of delivering the papers. And suddenly I was flush. Now, I would, of course, pick up other odd jobs along the way. I would mow lawns, I would shovel sidewalks. But I remember buying my first albums. I'm kind of digressing here. So today's video, I have in the past talked about albums, and I want to talk about closing tracks of albums. Back to those kind of tentpole song, that theory. You need to lead off an album with a banger, right? And you usually want to, if someone's going to flip that record over, the first song on side 2 is also really important. It needs to be impactful. And then finally, what I want to talk about today, how do you tie up a bow? How do you tie up any loose ends on that record? Where are you going to leave that listener finishing that body of work? So closing tracks on albums. Today I want to run through 5 incredible closing tracks that are very impactful, meaningful to me, and probably to you guys too. I'll run through some of these. Drop some comments in the video, down below. Let me know what you think are some of the best closing tracks ever. I could have done 15, I could have done 20. I don't want to make this a real long video today. So here we go. How about Every Grain of Sand from Shot of Love, the 1981 record from Bob Dylan? A lot of people turn up their noses at the religious period records. And this was the last of the bunch. In 1983, he totally turned directions and came out with Infidels. And there are other secular leaning songs on this record. Lenny Bruce comes to mind. But Every Grain of Sand, famously, the producer of this record, Chuck Plotkin, recounted in an interview that Dylan had switched from being set up on an acoustic guitar and being mic'd up over there, and he moved over to the piano, and he started going into Every Grain of Sand. And Chuck Plotkin just immediately ran over there and held a mic over Dylan, out of his way to kind of stay, don't ruin his train of thought. Because Dylan is famous. He will not want to do multiple takes of songs. There's another take of Every Grain of Sand that ended up on bootleg, what is it, the bootleg volume series 1 through 2 through 3 or something. And that one is interesting because it's a gorgeous take of that song, but suddenly you hear a dog barking in the background. So that take, probably either 1 or 2 or 3, didn't make it onto Shot of Love. But what we get here is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Probably in my top 10 favorite Dylan songs. I was reading that Bruce Springsteen and Elvis Costello agree. I think Elvis Costello said it's his favorite Dylan track. An incredible vocal, an incredible harmonica solo that we get here. I'm not sure who's playing electric guitar, but it's very tasteful, and it just moves the song along as it needs to be. This is a great closing track for Shot of Love. And I would imagine everybody knows this song. If you haven't heard it in a while, check it out. It's fantastic. So in 1978, Genesis. We were down to Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, and Phil Collins. Steve Hackett had left. Of course, Gabriel had left back in, 1975. And then there were 3. And I have a German pressing. Of course, this is a Hypnosis cover as well. Kind of a rare, kind of a not a real high concept as far as that cover is concerned. The record was recorded in the Netherlands. And we get Follow You, Follow Me as the closing track. And a Genesis song that actually charted in the U.S. I think at that point in time it was their highest charting single. It's a beautiful song. Really good vocal from Collins. Great guitar work from none other than Mike Rutherford, who basically had to take over on guitar after Hackett left. And they wanted a shorter song. The record company wanted these guys to work on something that would be maybe somewhat catchy. So Mike Rutherford went home. It's a song about his relationship with his wife. And it's a gorgeous track. And this is a real interesting, kind of a slow burner of a record. Very much overlooked, I think, these days. And Follow You, Follow Me is a fantastic way to end this record, kind of on a hopeful look. Also from 1978, the closing song on Darkness on the Edge of Town is the title track. It is a tour de force. It is an amazing, gut-wrenching performance from Bruce and the E Street Band. Is this your favorite Springsteen record? Or is it Nebraska? Is it Born to Run? This ranks really, really high for me. And this is just a standard Columbia, I think a Terre Haute pressing. This is a really good sounding recording. I am interested in finding, the box set that came out maybe 8 or 10 years ago now. And I think they used the plangent process on that box. And supposedly a lot of the records, this one through the earlier records, it's the best they've ever sounded. So I'm interested in checking that out. Of course, MoFire coming out with some titles as well. But yeah, this one could be my favorite record. And that closing track, there is just so much emotion, raw emotion in that song. And you read the lyrics and Whew. If anybody ever asks you, hey, what the hell is like a good example, a quintessential example of British folk? I would hold up this record, okay, Five Leaves Left. And the closing track on this record is just sublime. It is just perfect. It features Nick Drake on piano, Danny Thompson, who played with Nick Drake, of course. He did a lot of work with John Martin as well. Danny Thompson is on double bass. It's a very gorgeous spare song with a breathtaking vocal from Nick Drake. Did I mention the name of that song? Saturday Sun. You also have a really nice vibraphone element to this track in the background throughout the song. So you've got vibes, you've got a really nice acoustic piano, double bass, and a great vocal performance from Nick Drake from Five Leaves Left. Okay, last but not least, certainly not least, one of my favorite songs from XTC is, it's a real slow burner. It's from Nonsuch, the 1992 double album. This is the Ape reissue, by the way. There is a little blurb there showing all the other reissues that have been coming out from Ape, which is Andy Partridge's label, basically, for reissues, and then he puts out, other things that he's been working on, somewhat kind of sporadically. But I just adore this record. The recording quality of this is incredible. And the final track is called Books Are Burning. And Andy Partridge wrote that in, 1991, maybe 1992? And it is just such an incredible song if you consider what's happening here as we sit in 2024 and last year, 2023. I don't want to dip too far into politics, but you read the lyrics to that track, and Andy Partridge has said that it's one of the best songs that he's most proud of that he's ever written. And, he goes on to say that, people who ban books or regimes that ban books are, they'll be remembered in time as failed regimes, and anybody who wants to ban the creative force and art, we should look down on those folks. I agree. The cool thing about this track is Books Are Burning. Andy Partridge has also famously been on record saying he hates extended guitar solos. We get 4 extended guitar solos on Books Are Burning, 2 from Andy and 2 from Dave Gregory. And we also have a really great vocal from Andy Partridge. In fact, he doubles his vocal on this song. And then finally, there is an amazing live version of this song that they performed back in 1992 on a British chat show. And you see Andy just burning it on guitar, and Dave Gregory is over on Hammond organ, which he also plays on this track as well. Colin Moulding, of course, on bass, and Dave Maddox from Fairport Convention fame played drums on this record. Books Are Burning, a great way to end this double LP. I'm trying to we got a little glare here today. Those are 5 of the most impactful, the songs that kind of leave you uplifted, let's say, after you hear those songs, and they kind of complete the picture for each of those records in my mind. Again, let me know what other closing tracks on albums really hit you, and let me know in the comments if you want to interact. I appreciate it as always. Thanks everybody. Take care. Be back soon.